Hi there, I'm Sterling with Sterling's Wild West. What you're about to see today is a full video about the last Raptor build that we did. I've been in the automotive industry for 40 years, and in those 40 years, I have worked on a lot of cars. I own a shop, have done for the last 20 years, working on anything from engines, tires, transmissions, diagnostics, electrical. We've done every aspect of a vehicle, and what a lot of people don't realize, we've been working on a lot of Raptor builds, a lot of off-road stuff. What you're about to see is the first ever documented video breakdown of a build that we've done, and we're going to go through each component and why we're using it. Most of these components I have tested on my own Raptor, and I know which products work and which ones don't. So let's get going. So there's nothing worse than having this epic off-road vehicle that you absolutely hate to drive on the road. Shaking, rattling, noises, components that have to be maintained every 5,000 miles or less. I've tried to build my Raptor into a vehicle that is very capable off-road, but something that can still be very comfortable on-road. Quiet, low maintenance, and just awesome. So what I'm going to do now is go through the build list on this and explain the parts and my reasons for using these parts. So the first part of this build was suspension. Since it's a 2020, they came out with the live valve suspension, or the electronically controlled suspension. How many of you guys in Raptors past have done modifications and put different shocks on, and every time you go out to the desert you have to lay down on your back and you have to turn all those clickers to get it right where you want. The live valve portion of this on the newer Raptors makes it so much easier. It's all controlled by the computer in the vehicle. So the first thing we started with is Faust 3.0 external bypass live valve shocks on all four corners. Another reason I like those is because you can set the preload and adjust the height to whatever you want. Another thing that we used in the suspension is the upper control arms. I used the Icon with the delta joint because it's serviceable. A lot of guys will use uniball suspension. The reason I like to use the stock lower control arms is because it has a real ball joint. It's serviceable, and that's the same reason I chose the Icon upper control arm with the delta joint, because it's serviceable with grease. If you're running vehicles with uniball and you're not that guy that wants to go out and grease those things or lubricate those things every run and clean them, you want to drive this vehicle off-road and then be able to drive it on-road without having to have this checklist of things that you want or need to do to keep it running. That's one of the biggest reasons why we went with lower control arm, upper control arms that are serviceable and have grease, so the customer doesn't have to worry about it. Another thing that we use is the Icon rear leaf pack, and we use stage 1, which raises your vehicle 1 inch over stock, but really it raises it 2.5 inches, and then it settles a little bit. I like to use a short piece of an old leaf underneath to help keep that arc and get 1/2 inch more height out of it. The next thing is my good friend Paul at Swarfworks makes a lower shock protector for the right rear, which seems to catch a lot of rocks and debris that comes flying off the tires and can really damage that. We put that shock protector on, and it keeps the bottom of those very expensive shocks in working order and not damaged to the point where sometimes they're unusable. Another part we used on this build is the Faust Motorsports rear diff skid plate. It's very durable, and it can take high-speed hits and keep that differential protected. Since we do use the Icon rear leafs, you have to remove the factory bump stop, which is actually a block. By removing that, you now have no rear bump stop capabilities. So with the Icon rear leaf setup, we installed the Icon rear bump stop kit with the air bump cylinders. Okay, now I'm going to go through some of the stuff that we did for the body. So we did different modifications on this one that a lot of people may not like. First of all is the front part of the hood has a nice broad area that likes to collect rock chips. I've learned that by having several rock chips on mine. I like the Auto Vent Shade brand. It's smoked plastic and it fits right on the front of the hood with two-sided tape, and it protects any oncoming rocks that would chip the front part of the hood. One of the big things that this customer was pretty adamant about is he wanted a winch. One of the reasons that I don't run a winch on my truck is, number one, I don't get in a position where I need to use it a lot. Number two, I've had one on previous trucks trucks, and I don't like the extra weight it adds. But this customer wanted a winch, and so once again I called my friend Paul Rogers at Swarfworks and ordered a hidden winch mount. I think he's one of the only guys that makes the hidden winch mount for the Ford Raptor, and we were able to tuck a nice Warn 12S Platinum, Xeon Platinum, underneath where the factory intercooler goes. It's very nice. It trims off very well with the factory worn fair lead, and we use the Ultra Hook, and it just looks very nice, very clean, and very hidden, which the customer was very pleased about that. We also did a few other trim items. We did a Truxedo roll-up tonneau cover, and the reason that I've always gone to the Truxedo brand roll-up tonneau covers is they're very durable. I've had a couple of guys that have used the back flip, and after 2 or 3 pretty good jumps, the sections of the back flip decide to come flying out with the flex that is in the bed of the truck over bumps. So we chose something that can be rolled up and tucked out of the way and not take up a lot of bed space. This customer does a lot of communication with other friends as he's up hunting, and we chose to go the bulletproof diesel antenna mount that's integrated into the third brake light. We also did the undercover swing case toolboxes on either side. Not extremely durable as far as jumping and bouncing, but very easy to use without having to roll back the tonneau cover just to get to a toolbox. They'll swing out and you can access those easily. Of course, one of the best mods, and we tease in the Raptor world, one of the first mods that a lot of guys do to their Raptors is the Stubby Antenna, which we contacted our friend Matt from Built Right Industries, and he sent one out. Another modification that a lot of guys do, or things that they add to their Raptor, is off-road lighting. I've tried several different brands of lighting, anywhere from Amazon specials, which will last you a good 2 to 3 months before they die, to even a premium brand, Rigid Industries. And the reason we did not use Rigid Industries on this build is because they have a thick bezel that goes around the edge, and it collects a lot of debris, especially in the winter time. You'll actually pack the front of those lights with snow and ice that kind of stays in there. The lights that we decided to go with on this one is Baja Designs, and here are some of the reasons that we used Baja Designs. Very durable, lifetime warranty. The fit and finish on Baja Designs is perfect. The front of each light fixture is perfectly smooth and rounded on the edges. There's no thick bezel that catches any debris. They're just absolutely phenomenal and well worth the money. The next part of this build that we concentrated on was performance. Everybody wants speed and performance, and a lot of guys will put 1 or 2 of these components on and won't use the others. So when I do a build like I did on my own truck, I like to use several components in conjunction with each other. Front mount intercooler, cold air intake, and downpipes. Along with the tune, makes everything work together. You're putting more fuel, you're putting more air, and you want to get that air in and out just as efficient as you can. And so all those I use in conjunction with each other for the best performance. The brands that I choose for the front mount intercooler is Cobb, and the reason is I've had a few other styles, and the tubing that comes out of the other brands comes straight down, and then they have to have all this other plumbing to change the direction to make it go into where it needs to go. What I like about the Cobb is the lower inlet and outlet are curved and cast into the actual intercooler for the best airflow and the need to not have a bunch of extra plumbing and fittings underneath the truck. The cold air intake system that I like is S&B, and the reasons are, when I first started with my truck, I used a different brand, and several of the fittings over some hard trails and a lot of bumps and jumps, some of the fittings worked loose, and I found that out in the middle of nowhere that I'd been sucking unfiltered air because some of the fittings had jiggled apart. What I like about the S&B is the fittings are solid, and where the filter goes into the filter housing is on a rubber grommet that keeps the filter free floating in the housing. So all of that vibration can be dampened and nothing can come loose. When it came time for downpipes and turbo adapters, I turned to my good friend Jacob with SPD Performance. He has taken care of us since day one. He builds a premium product, and we contacted him for the turbo adapters and downpipes to open up that outlet where the exhaust comes out and get it down and out to the muffler as fast and as efficient as possible. One of the things this customer liked about my build is the Turbosmart blow-off valve. There's been a lot of debate whether they do anything or not, and the factory blow-off valve is probably sufficient, but I like the look and the feel of the Turbosmart blow-off valve, and who doesn't like that to to let you know that it's a forced induction. It's just fun. That's the bottom line. Along with the performance, we used 170-degree thermostat and cooler plugs. A lot of guys have asked me why I use the cooler thermostat. The cooler thermostat doesn't make your radiator or cooling system cool anymore. It lowers the temperature that's already there 20 degrees from factory. The factory thermostat is a 190. Putting the 170 thermostat, for me, climbing sand, which I spent a lot of time and a lot of miles in the sand, I want that engine coolant temperature to be as low as possible to start with, so it has a shorter heat soak cycle, and that's why I use a cooler thermostat. I had never had an overheat condition since I used the 170 thermostat in the sand. When I first got my Raptor and I'd climb big sand hills, big sand mountains, by the time I got to the top, the dash was giving me engine over temp messages, and I haven't had that once with the 170-degree thermostat. I've also tried several tunes, and I know that there's a lot of companies out there that do tunes, performance tunes, and I've had 2 customers in the last month that have come in with tunes from different companies, and both of them have had problems with the fans running full blast, and their fans are constantly running, and that's all written in the software in a performance tune. One of the reasons that I like to work with MPT, More Power Tuning, which is the tune I used on my truck and this truck that we're building. I've originally started my Raptor, my Gen 2 Raptor career with a tune from More Power Tuning, and I had a few issues with the transmission shifting, and after working with them and sending data logs, they were able to take care of those transmission issues, and it shifts very smooth, and I have plenty of power. One of the cool things we did on this build was we had a custom A-pillar gauge pod, so the end gauge didn't have to be mounted to the windshield. Something else we did on this build was the customer liked the look of the stock wheels, which were beadlock capable. So we got the Ford Performance beadlock rings, and I like the extra inch width that it gives you by running the beadlock lock ring on there, and they look great. He loves the look, and I love the look of how the 2019-2020 beadlock capable rims look with the lock ring. This is just a pet peeve of mine, but the factory lug nuts that come from Ford are awful. They're aluminum clad. They have this stupid cheap aluminum coating on, and every time you put a socket on them and use it, and it gets moisture behind it, they swell up, and then before you know it, you can't get your socket on those lug nuts. So I went to a aftermarket lug nut that's chrome. It looks the same as the factory one, and it's solid. It'll never expand, and they look great. On to graphics. So I got a hold of my good buddy Matt with Rapid Graphics. The first one that's shown here is the hood vent. The next one, which I think is really cool, is the Ford Performance on the passenger side A-pillar windshield. The Grille, that's another popular one that Rapid Graphics sells, where it highlights the Ford across the front of the grille. Demon eyes are really cool. They're the graphic that goes around the outside of the headlight bezel on each side. The next thing was tailgate. The big Ford across the back of the tailgate was the same muted American flag. We installed rear demon eyes, is what they're called, which is an outline around the rear taillights. The last one is my favorite. It's the Sterling's Wild West roof graphic. Called Rapid Graphics. Just ask for the Sterling's Wild West roof graphic. And last but not least, the Sterling's Wild West decal, indicating our flawless, worry-free on- and off-road build. This is the Hybrid S by Sterling's Wild West.
Heard this beat in my dream.
There she is. That's what $40,000 Raptor build looks like. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section below. And thanks for watching. I'm gonna lose it here. Hi, I'm Sterling Bingham with Sterling's Wild West. What you're about to see today is a breakdown of a build that we did. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't say the F word either.